This has to be one of the most unusual, cool places I've ever seen in a hike. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I'm gonna head up to Goat Canyon to go visit part of what's called the Impossible Railroad. It's this old stretch of railroad that connected Baja California down in Mexico to San Diego, and then all the way down into Imperial Valley in El Centro. And it's been abandoned. They don't use this railroad. They haven't run anything on it since 2008. Passengers haven't been on it since the 1950s. And when they built it, they called it the Impossible Railroad because of all the tunnels and bridges necessary to make it work. People said it could never happen. It's the longest wood bridge in the world, and it still stands in the middle of the Wild West out here where nobody can see it. I'm heading in now. It's about 6.5 miles round trip, 2,300 feet of vert. There's another way you can get in. It's a lot longer, a lot less vert, and a lot easier, but it's also illegal. You have to cross and trespass on some land, and there's a nudist colony, some other weird things, and I didn't want to mess with that. I thought I'll take the hard way. So I'm gonna go see what this is like, and hopefully the wind doesn't knock me off the ridge. There's got to be like 100 palm trees around me here, and I'm just on this like slope, part of this like giant wash with boulders everywhere that's steep, and these palms are just, they're just huge, and you can tell they've been here a long time. I mean, I've never seen trunks of palms as big as these guys are. It's just really cool. It's kind of creepy too, because like all the debris from the palms is here, and I'm sure there's snakes in here and stuff. All right, I'm through the palms, and I had to do some extracurricular scrambling on some boulders there. There's no trail. This is just going up the wash. I don't even see any cairn. I know this is a pretty popular hike, but this route is definitely probably not the popular route. You can see behind me, that's the ridge. That's the ridge I got to go up and over, and then down into Goat Canyon to see the Trestle Bridge. This wind is fierce. It's blowing steady 20 and gusting to 30 right now. It's really pretty with all the cacti, but it's a bit of a minefield walking through here. Don't want to brush up against any of this as I'm wearing shorts. Well, the last half mile there has been a bit of a trail, which is nice. It's not super traily, it's kind of just obvious where to go. And you can see behind me the desert floor, which is where I've climbed up. The challenges for a day like today is, well, running in the cactus. Route finding is probably the biggest challenge. And then I know up here in a minute, when I get a little further and closer, that it's pretty steep getting down to the bridge into Goat Canyon. There's a pretty treacherous section. Seems like less of a wash and more like a dry waterfall. Go up and down. Nice place, Karen. All right, here's my first view of the crazy bridge, the Goat Canyon Trestle Bridge. Gosh, that's amazing. Even from just right here. And here's where it gets a little dicey getting down. Good shoes are important. Oh, there's enough rock here. I think I'll be just fine. I'm sure when I get down here, I'll see that there's a better route that I should have gone down, and I'll feel stupid. Some chossy stuff for sure. Here's a good shot of what I just came down. Very treacherous. It'll be better going up than coming down, but certainly very slow going. Do not underestimate how treacherous this final half mile is. Well, I made it. I'm here at the Goat Canyon Trestle Bridge, the longest wooden bridge in the world. Yeah, at least the longest wooden curved trestle bridge. That's a mouthful. Yeah, I guess it's 700 feet long-ish, depending on which the long end or the short side of the curve you measure from. I read online some of the history of it. Apparently, it had a lot of things get in the way. There was Mexican revolutionaries across the border and captured workers and made them come be conscripts for their cause. And then during before World War II started, the army came and actually stopped construction of it and seized the resources here they were using to put them towards the war effort. But eventually it was finished in 1933, and then it was in use for quite a long time until I think the 1950s was the last passenger car. And then I read online the last train that actually went on this was in 2008.
Bruh.
So at least since 2008, it's just been sitting here rotting away in the desert. But it's pretty amazing, and I can see behind me you got some hikers that are coming from the nudist colony way. So they hopefully had a good time doing that. Well, this is definitely not gonna allow any trains to pass through nowadays. This is just a very creepy tunnel of death, waiting for all who enter, which I guess is me, because I'm gonna go look at it here. Not gonna go in though. I just want to see how creepy it is in here. And I think the answer is probably very creepy. Oh, creepy inside of a mountain. Okay. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Literally. I guess there's like 7 or 8 of these tunnels though, as part of the Impossible Railroad, which is why it was considered so impossible. I mean, besides the bridge, which is crazy, they had to tunnel through all these mountains to make it work, because, you know, unless you're familiar with the geography here, going from El Centro, California to San Diego, besides, you know, being in the middle of the desert, it's an incredible climb up from the desert floor at 0 elevation over some very, very rugged mountains before you come down into the ocean where it's sea level again. So, and then even just the idea of doing all this and building all this over 100 years ago without some of the conveniences we have now, and then being out here in the heat and the elements, the challenges of even getting gear out here and supplies, the logistics of it. Yeah, I can see why they'd call this impossible. Pretty spectacular though. This is a tough spot to get to. I ran into a couple guys back there and they came the way of the nudist colony, and they assured me they did not see any nudists, so that's good for them. But their approach was about 8 miles. So mine was 3.5, theirs was 8. Mine was certainly up and over a mountain and a lot more treacherous, and theirs was flat but long and risking seeing a bunch of old nudists. So, you know, either way, you're gonna have to You're gonna have to earn it to be here. The desert doesn't give up its secrets easily. This canyon is just gorgeous. I mean, it's just deep and austere and in the middle of nowhere, rugged desert. I mean, it's probably not a place I'd ever go hike to see on its own, but with the bridge here and just kind of the history of the area, it makes it worthwhile to come see. Well, I finished and I didn't get poked by a cactus, and I saw the bridge, so that was successful. Almost 8 miles. So actually, I don't know if my watch was just not accurate, or I did a little more walking around at the bridge, so that probably added up a touch, and then some user errors with my route finding. This was a lot more adventurous than I thought. I'm really glad I did this, but the route was somewhat challenging. A lot of up and then the plateau and then down, and it was I guess it was literally uphill both ways, so go figure. So that's it though for the Goat Canyon Trestle Bridge, the longest wooden curved trestle bridge in the world. You saw it here. See you later.